Hi, and welcome to the first heat map analysis. This is a new feature that YouTube is putting out for the people that are using the 360 cameras, and I thought I'd show you what's going on with it. This is my first video as well, and a quick explanation. You see the red dots, those are what they consider high attention, so the viewer is paying attention to those areas. Then it moves to yellow, which is a little bit less attention, and then it keeps going down to white. But the red is kind of where you want to see where their high attention is. This is shot as my first go with the Samsung 360 Gear 360 2017 model, and this is using their Action Director software. So you can see that the equirectangular on this one will definitely pick up which camera that Samsung has as primary and secondary, which is kind of a hassle with this kind of analysis. I've moved to the Adobe Creative Cloud where I can actually set the primary focus of the clip, and so I think that'll be much better, because right now you can see we're driving down a road and people are exploring around, which is really neat. It's a new medium for my channel, and so people are starting to figure out how to work all this thing. But they're kind of looking around, seeing what's going on. But as they focus in, they're definitely focusing in on just setting the camera so it's driving down the road. Now here the primary camera is pointed backwards, which is something I learned. And so let's see if people can travel the camera around to the front. So they're looking backwards, and now what we can see right now is there's nobody looking backwards really anymore. So they're all pointing the camera forward. So they figured out how to turn the camera around and look down the road. Unfortunately, this equirectangular, you can't see everybody looking forward, but there's, just by the fact that no one's looking backwards anymore, you know they're all looking forward. I thought that was interesting. So they know how to travel the camera around. So here everybody starts looking backwards at an empty space. See them travel around to the conversation, and the waiter's doing most of the talking, and Jaylene's definitely a better draw than me, so they're looking at her, looking at the waiter. We're talking about a bunch of stuff, so he actually sits down, but everybody's pretty much traveled the camera around except for a couple of people to the conversation. Even though I'm doing a lot of talking, they're definitely looking at the waiter the most, and Jaylene. So that's a good sign. They've definitely brought the camera. Okay, here's the last person, kind of bringing the camera around. But you know, so that's I guess what we want in a conversation. You know, they're really not looking around that much. So here, let's see if everybody can focus in their camera at the front. See them moving all the way around. So here again, it's, even though there's a lot of trees, so that's kind of you know, it's not giving them a lot to look at, just trees. So they just kind of focus their camera down road. And even after a minute, no one's really moved yet. But you know, I've got to take into account that this is really a new medium for me as a video maker, and so people are kind of getting used to it, kind of getting used to the 360 camera aspect. But you know, they're doing a little bit of exploration, but for the most part, they're just looking down road. It's more mountains to come in, give them a little more view. I think there's almost everybody's looking down road right now. That makes sense. There's not that much to look at. Here again, we're pointing backwards. See if everybody travels again to the front, which unfortunately the camera that I have pointed backwards is the primary. People are spinning the camera around, which is great. People are starting to explore a little bit more. But for the most part, now you only see one person looking backwards. Most people are looking down screen or down into the sunroof, but most people are looking down road. Now everybody's looking down road. So that makes sense. You know, they just don't want to kind of get that visual. It's too much, and there's not enough to look at. But now that everybody's looking the wrong direction, let's focus in. Bring the cameras around so they're looking down video. Now let's see what happens at about a 1 minute mark. So that's kind of the 1 minute mark so far is what's been told. The people now have explored around. They understand what the 360 camera effect is. You're seeing a lot more traveling around and looking at things. People are still just kind of focusing their camera down the way the travel of the car is, right down that middle there. So we're at 30 seconds right now. Everybody's kind of settled in. So that's where it's like a give them 1 minute to look around. I know in regular filming, you almost want to change the camera around every 4 to 5 seconds if you can. But with this 360 medium, you want to give people a little bit of time. So now we're at a minute. We're getting a lot more interesting things to look at, not just trees on the side of the road. Now we're coming up on a minute and a half, and I think this is where we see people starting to, okay, so they've kind of seen things, but we're getting more views coming in, but they're still watching right along. You know, they're not leaving necessarily. There's 2 minutes. So 2.5 minutes right now. We're starting to see a little bit more exploration happening. There's definitely more to look at with the mountains. People are starting to look all over. They're starting to explore quite a bit more. It's not like they had a choice in the video, but it's interesting to see at 2.5 minutes. Now they're given a chance. Now people are starting to look all around. There's something to look at too, from what I can understand. See, everybody's separating all over the place. There's a couple people that are just still letting the camera ride, but they're definitely looking around. We've got more mountain peaks, so it's definitely advantageous, I think, to have more things to look at. People are taking in I guess what I was trying to accomplish with the driving shot. But you have to give them something to look at. You can see people are really starting to look around quite a bit, really exploring the 360 format. There's definitely some that are just letting it ride down the middle, but people are really starting to explore, have fun, kind of all over the place. But there's something to look at. I mean, I think that's the key to all this, is that if you just give them a road with tree lining, they're just going to set the camera and they're not really going to explore the whole 360 aspect. But when you give them an open space with something to look at, then they get to go and explore. And that was actually almost at 3.5 minutes, and people are starting to really embrace the 360. So now the camera's set backwards. Let's see if we can spin everybody around back at the restaurant. Let's see if they focus in on either me or Jaylene. People are, so at this point, people are used to the format, but again, they're concentrating on the conversation, which is great. That's what we want. that people are looking around. They're definitely concentrating back at the conversation. Great. Here we're seeing people kind of spinning the camera around. So this is a good 9 minutes into the video. So they're starting to explore around a little bit more, but they all come back to the conversation. But they're definitely exploring now. Now we're actually going for a walk around in town, and now people can just really explore. I never really set it up and just set the camera in one spot for just let it sit there. But here we're walking around. We've got some people that have focused in on me. But this is a little German town, so there's definitely lots to see. People spun the camera around so it's on me, but they're also looking around. And up here in a minute, Jaylene's going to peel off and try not to swing the camera. I remember that. She peels off and see what happens here. So people are following her around. So that's kind of cool. They're going to see what she's looking at. But here in so the video, so if they made it this long in the video, they understand how to operate the camera. They can look around, or they'll set their camera in one spot, just trying to take it all in, and then they kind of take off looking at things. So we got a couple people that are looking right at me. Let's switch them again. Let's see what they do. People are staying with me. And Jaylene, in our conversation, a couple people are looking down the crosswalk. So now a bunch of people have started exploring again. There's a couple of people that just like to walk the same direction. Some people can handle actually looking at the conversation. Now we're about 20 minutes into the film, and people we've stopped. Now people can look around. We're not walking anymore. Kind of walking what Jaylene's doing, but they've figured out how to look around, kind of decide on what they want to look at. Some people are sticking with us or with me, but we got a lot of people looking downstream. But they're definitely exploring around now. They've had a long time. They understand how the camera works. There's something to look at. You know, not bad. Coming out another street. Let's see where they go. So they're looking all around. So at this point, and we've actually gone about a minute into this clip, people are really getting used to. Some people just like to walk the sidewalk with us, but there's a lot of people looking around now. But this town has a lot to look at. So I think this really is going to give me a lot of ideas. Next trip out, I'm going to plant the camera a few more times and just let it sit stationary. But as long as people, I mean, the more and more people get used to the camera and what you can do on, say, YouTube, I think the more they'll start exploring right off the bat, exploring more. But I love this heat map. They're definitely looking all around now. It's about 21 minutes into the film. They're looking back at us. They're looking around. So I think it's going to be real valuable in the future. I'm going to be doing this quite a few times to try and learn. And I think this is good information that we can all have on how to actually do the film making and what people are doing. After a minute, that's about the going. This is how long people want to look before they get a chance to start looking around. But you could see a couple times there at even like 3 minutes, that's when they started looking around more. So if you back it up with some good music or pertinent conversation, I think you're going to do okay. Hopefully in the future, the Premiere Creative Cloud will have a better view on this all. But any ideas, I would love to hear it. Okay, talk to y'all later. Bye now.